Thank you so much. It's my honor to be here with Elizabeth talking about this topic. Elizabeth was so succinct in going through the slides. I'm sitting here like, I'm so excited. I want to say all the things that we've done, so I'll try to keep it together. But it's just a real honor to be talking about some of the journey and the approach that we've taken, particularly and to use a case example of flavored tobacco. So if we pull up my slides and go to slide 2, I'm happy to dig in. Thank you. Next slide, please. So really this opportunity to dig in and do really a case study and a retrospective on the work that went behind the banning the sale of flavored tobacco is what I'm here to do today. And this is just a little more information on what's actually included in that policy. I think there's a number of things for me that stand out. And as you can see, you need kind of 4 of those check marks to get to gold that have a number of elements in them. One, they are talking about policies that include all retailers. They are talking about policies that are intentional from the equity perspective and not penalizing youth for being targeted by tobacco or nicotine and flavors. And they're really talking about, for the gold, policies that include all flavors. So if we go to the next slide, I'm going to just highlight the approach that we've taken that is really this comprehensive, thoughtful approach, as the chair mentioned, to this policy, and really speak a bit to the health department's role in this, which has 4 components. I'll say these are iterative, and as we walk through the timeline, I'll try to point out where in this process we use different pieces of this. But there's assessment and epidemiology, and that looks a variety of different ways. It looks at looking at the data and information. So take something like tobacco and nicotine. We know that it's the #1 cause of preventable death in Multnomah County and in the United States. We know that through community assessments that people have done, maybe that's walking around in their community, that they're looking at just kind of what is harmful in their community. So that is constantly contributing to our policy analysis. Community wisdom. This includes community engagement, education. Oftentimes, clearly it's our role to be putting out data and doing assessments, but there are many times that communities are coming to us and saying, before our data picks things up or catches up and says, in this case, the increase in vaping or flavors or things that our youth were coming to us and talking about, that our educators and parents were talking about. There's policies and interventions, clearly like the ones that we've talked about, a variety of different strategies to address what we're seeing in the epidemiology and to address what the community is saying that they need to be healthier. And ultimately those evaluation and outcomes. So continually looking at, after one thing is done, what are the impacts? This particularly includes a focus on inequities and making sure that no matter what we're looking at, assessing, that we're monitoring for gaps and ultimately working with communities who are most impacted. So if we go to the next slide, or the next several slides, what I'm going to do is be walking through some of the major milestones in action that you all as a board have taken, and then giving a look behind the curtain to what are some of the community engagement efforts and things that happen behind that. I will say this has been such a pleasure for me in preparing for this and doing this, really walk through memory lane and being able to have worked in this magnificent county in multiple roles, including tobacco prevention educator and working with communities. So like I said, I'm going to try to keep it together. But just really, this is just such amazing work, and there's so many phenomenal people behind this. So this starts in 2007, and really this milestone here is talking about Maine passing a law banning flavored tobacco, but does not include menthol. And that's a really important piece, and that exemption, and is a piece of the community engagement and equity efforts that we had heard over time. In 2009, the FDA, so at the federal level, bans flavored cigarettes, once again, except for menthol. Extremely important for a variety of reasons, including the egregious targeting of menthol to African American and Black communities and marketing. So in 2013, we launched the Sweet Deceit campaign, really highlighting the harms of flavor and dispelling the myths that many young people had, or other people had, that flavored tobacco and nicotine products weren't as harmful. In 2014, we came back in front of the board with EPI presentations, really talking about the increasing in vaping or inhalant delivery devices for youth and other people, and recommended that the board ban the sale of e-cigarettes for minors, which at that time was not in policy. In 2015, this board did a number of things, including passing a policy that did in fact ban the sale of e-cigarettes or inhalant delivery devices to youth, and then added e-cigarettes and inhalant delivery devices to other policies where cigarettes were applicable. Also passes a tobacco retail license in 2015. Then 2016 started implementing those licenses, which really gave us, back to that iterative framework that I talked about, more information, data, and EPI, and the ability to do some more community assessments. In 2017, we came in front of the board really urging the board to look at increasing the legal sales age to 21. Ultimately, that ended up happening at the state level, but Multnomah County was a leader in setting a stance for the intentionality to do that, and once again, another step in protecting youth and young people from the harms of tobacco and nicotine. And then in 2019, the board issues a warning about vaping and the harms, and directs the health department to come back with recommendations on banning the sale of flavored tobacco. So if we go to the next slide, this is just in that timeline some of the work that had happened behind the scenes. In the last slide, I mentioned that policy that had been passed in Maine in 2007, and here what was happening locally is that the African American Tobacco Prevention and Education Network was really tackling menthol, was raising awareness about the targeting and the harmful impacts. So we were starting those culturally specific approaches, which are based on that data. In 2009, Achieve, which is a coalition focused on chronic disease prevention, once again prioritized tobacco policies and really pushed for that needed to include all flavors. In 2014, we had youth from Portland Public Schools called the Rebels that were really taking on the issues of tobacco and nicotine in their communities. We're testifying in front of the board. We're meeting with the chair. We have Oregon Health Equity Alliance upstream that we're doing retail assessment, so some of that EPI work and advocacy work. Continuing through 2015, doing additional culturally specific work, and Pride with our LGBTQI2A+ communities, youth continuing to testify. This is one of the fond moments you may remember of being in East County, where youth coined the term "do me a favor and ban the flavor" as they were talking to the board. Continuing to do health equity assessments with OHE and others on tobacco retail licensing in 2017. Also equity assessments by Upstream and NEA on raising the minimum legal sales age. And in 2019, the Multnomah County Public Health Advisory Board recommending the banning of the sale of flavored tobacco, including menthol. So if we go to the next slide, this is just an overview of, so I went through to 2019, this is 2019 to 2020, and a variety of different actions, formal actions that took place here in the boardroom and with you all. Coming back again, and we shared information on the leading causes of preventable death and ways to increase life, opened up public comment and survey periods, both in writing and here in front of you all on banning the sale of flavored tobacco, a number of public hearings, briefings, got to 2020, and then well, who knows what happened in 2020. We took a pause to focus on other public health issues. And if we go to the next slide here, I'll thank you. Pick back up in 2022, where the persistence of public health policy really showed itself and came back in a variety of different actions in front of the board, open public comment again